A reading from Psalm 70. Be pleased, O God, to deliver me. O Lord, make haste to help me. Let those be put to shame and confusion who seek my life. Let those be turned back and brought to dishonor who desire to hurt me. Let those who say, Aha, aha, turn back because of their shame. Let all who seek you rejoice and be glad in you. Let those who love your salvation say evermore, God is great, but I am poor and needy. Hasten to me, O God. You are my help and my deliverer. O Lord, do not delay. This is the word of the Lord. Thanks be to God. I sat across from the neurosurgeon's desk, expecting to be released from her care and handed off to a physical therapist. Your leg is atrophying, she said, and because of the atrophy, I'll need to repair your spine surgically. That's not funny, I replied to her, assuming that Dr. Samuels was, pulling my leg. She wasn't kidding. When I finally realized the gravity of the situation, I suggested a surgery date or two later in February. February is a quiet month at the church, I explained to her. And I've got a kid arriving in January, a little girl. We can't do it now. What's open in February? Glibly, I assumed I could negotiate an indefinite delay. A reprieve from the knife, keeping the less invasive options on the table a bit longer. Dr. Samuels shook her head as I spoke. Let me be clear with you, she said. We're doing this on Tuesday, as in 4 days from now. Tuesday. This cannot wait. Right after the appointment, I went out into the parking lot toward the car and got sick. The kind of illness that arises from anxiety. It was an embarrassing scene. I got sick because I realized I had no control. No control over the date on the calendar. No control over the surgeon, the anesthesiologist, the host of professionals who would handle the scalpels, the sutures, the clamps, and all the other accoutrements of the OR. Scariest of all, I had no control over the outcome. Zero. This idea that I was turning my health, my ability to walk, my future over to someone I'd known for 3 weeks. 3 weeks? That was the scariest part of all of it. This experience is what we would have labeled the spin cycle back in my seminary days. Think washing machine. It's those moments you experience disorientation, a loss of control in the wake of a headline, an experience, or maybe just the anticipation of the unknown. When you enter the spin cycle, you're just trying to grab something, anything, to steady you until the cruel ride comes to an end. Many of you, many of us, have felt out of control since Tuesday at 7 p.m. Maybe longer. Stuck in the spin cycle. On top of all the other detours we've been dealt in 2020, this unsettled election, an unsettled election at a crucial moment in our national story, has us grasping for any bit of news, any reassuring headline that hints at the prospect of easier times. A quieting of hostility. A more predictable, manageable pulse of life. We want some control over this thing, don't we? whatever this thing is exactly. And in the absence of our preferred outcome, we take at least a handle or a hand to cling to, wouldn't we? I, for one, want to know when the spin cycle, will stop. Be pleased, O God, to deliver me. O Lord, make haste to help me. It's been said that Psalm 70 is like a collective sigh from the people of God, a sigh that billows toward heaven. While originally sung in the temple by an individual, probably a cantor, a singer, Psalm 70 has morphed into one of those psalms with the ability to capture and name the angst of a people. A people who have entered the spin cycle because of many currents that are beyond their control. O Lord, make haste to help me. This is a community lament. As the people sense the loss of control over their lives, as the losses mount, they cry out for restoration and accountability. And notice how pointed the people are in naming both their adversaries and their desired outcomes. Let those be put to shame and confusion who seek my life, the psalmist says on behalf of the people. Let those be turned back and brought to dishonor who desire to hurt me. Let those who say, aha, aha, turn back because of their shame. To paraphrase here, God, go deal with those people who've caused all this trouble. You know who they are, Lord. I do this sort of thing. Maybe you as well. At the height of the spin cycle, I am quick to name who's to blame for my trouble and what God should do with those people. Heck, back when I blew my back out 15 years ago, I harbored anger for a tree. A tree. Because I was convinced the tree was responsible for taking my control, my life away from me. Back then, I was grasping for anything I thought could stop the spinning. How many of us right now have a working list of those responsible for the virus, the economic mess, the unsettled election, not to mention all the localized and personal challenges that we carry even deeper, even closer to our hearts? We all have our lists, don't we? Just like the psalmist had hers. In my opinion, the most challenging verse of the psalm is also where we locate some good news. Some good news to steady us when we're out of control, when we're in the midst of the spin cycle. It's right there at the end. But I am poor and needy. Hasten to me, O God. You are my help and my deliverer. O Lord, do not delay. After naming those who have taken her joy from her, after lamenting the loss of control she's experiencing in the face of adversities and obstacles, the psalmist and the people of God joining her in lament hand it all over to the Lord. It's all out of control, O God. So I turn to you, my help, my deliverer. The election may be unsettled for days or weeks, but God will deliver the sun in the morning and paint the night in stars, like God has always done. You may be terrified about the outcome of the election and disenchanted with the one who ends up in the White House. But God will still govern heaven and earth and attend to every hair on your head. If you're like me, you may be terrified about the next shoe to drop, anxious about the next difficulty that will shake the ground beneath our feet. But God's already claimed the future for us. Here's what I know. When everything is spinning out of control, we are called to pray, to worship, to lament, to sigh, and to confess. It's not all up to us. You see, I learned something about grace in those days when the illusion of my invincible 20s collapsed under the weight of a broken back. When we've lost control, we learn who's in control. May the one who hears our laments and takes on our sighs steady our hearts and minds in the spin cycle. Amen.